And I thought today I'd talk a little bit about bread in Japan. Bread is super delicious here. I think it's funny because a lot of people think, well, everybody just eats rice here, and people here always assume that being from the States that all we eat all day long is bread. Sandwiches, sandwiches, sandwiches. And I thought about it, and I don't really eat that many sandwiches. I don't know. I mean, growing up, certainly in my lunchbox every day was a PBJ, but it's kind of funny to think about how people perceive what you're eating in a different country. Bread in the States isn't that good. It's just kind of boring. There's just sliced bread, and that's it. No, I'm kidding. I know there is some good bread there. And, you know, if you're from San Francisco, for example, you know, there's really good sourdough bread there, of course. But Japan has amazing bread. I think they copied really well from parts of Europe to be able to get some of the best bread that you can have, really. It's just super, super delicious. Regular sliced bread is here, but it's always white bread usually. You have to pay a little extra, and it's kind of rare to get like a what we call a mugi, or like a wheat-based kind of bread. But white bread here is pretty thick. It's about at least over a centimeter thick. More like 2 centimeters sometimes. You can buy the super fat kind too. So it toasts up really good. You usually have a toaster oven that lays flat, and then you can toast it up. People put butter, they put jam, they put cinnamon and sugar, they put this weird kind of peanut butter cream that's real sweet, or chocolate cream, all sorts of different things that you can put on top. But then, aside from that, is just bread in terms of like eating it as a snack, and or as lunch, I should say. For example, my daughter at her school, every Wednesday is bread day, and so they get a chance to eat a piece of bread. And that's not just a slice of bread. It's one of these kinds of breads usually that is flavored in some way that makes it tasty. These kinds of breads can be bought anywhere. Now, you find them at the convenience stores, you find them in the grocery stores. Sometimes within a grocery store there's a bakery, and they sell things there too. And then there's sometimes some specialty bakery places that you see a lot of times in the train stations, department stores, and places like that. So this is just, I thought I'd just show you guys a few that are really standard, that you go anywhere and they're going to have this bread. Probably one of the biggest ones is meronpan. This is like everywhere. This is supposed to look like melon. They cut, you know, make it to look like this outside of a melon. It doesn't taste like melon. That's not the point of it all. It is slightly sweet, and the outside's got a nice little crunchy kind of tiny bit of like sugared coating to it to make it taste good. But inside is just nothing. It's just a big thing of bread, but really, really tasty bread. I bought this one at Lawson, and it was 105 yen, which is a really good price. And it's big too. Usually this is about the size of it. It's loud, sorry. You can kind of see this is how big it is. Nice big guy, about that fat. And the back just looks like this. And inside, like I said, it's just kind of like a thick kind of bread. And you look at it, almost looks just kind of like regular white bread, but it's sweet a little bit. So kids love this because it's got that sweet edge to it, and it's really tasty. So a lot of kids will eat that if they get a chance. This one I don't think is very often given at school, though. It's kind of not usually the thing that you see, but that's one of them that's really common. Another would be this kind of one that has sort of a pizza theme to it. This is a really nice long one. And not always this long, maybe about half this length sometimes too, depending on where you go. Again, this is from Lawson. It was 110 yen. So it's a nice big long piece of bread, just like a regular kind of dinner roll style bread, but then with like pizza coating on top. So really common thing for pizza in Japan here is corn, so you see that on there. And it has some onions, and it looks like it's probably got mayonnaise on it instead of cheese, and then also some cheese as well too. So this is a pretty common thing too. You see a lot of these pizza style breads. The bread itself is just normal, but then it's made to look like pizza. Let's see if I can get this out of here. It's so noisy, isn't it? It's not coming out. Okay. There we go. Now these are brought fresh to the convenience store, so it smells super good, but that's kind of what it looks like. There's nothing inside, it's just, you know, sliced down the middle, and then with that special kind of stuff on the inside there. That's what it looks like on the back. And like I said, on the inside it's just soft, kind of like dinner roll bread. And then with the little ketchup-y kind of pizza sauce on the outside. Pretty common to see a lot of corn and mayonnaise on pizza style things. So if you're here and you're visiting, you're like, what the heck is that? That's mayonnaise on bread. When you toast mayonnaise, it becomes really super yummy. So that's one of the really common things to see here is that. And then the last thing I thought I'd just show you guys as a really classic kind of bread is carepan, which is curry bread. So this particular bread has curry inside. It's like a pizza pocket or hot pocket kind of, if you're familiar with those. And then it's deep fried so that it gets this nice little crunchy kind of like our koroke sort of. So these are pretty common. You can definitely tell the difference of a good one versus a bad one by how delicious the curry is on the inside. This one was from Lawson Tune. It's 120 yen. These definitely, I think, taste better if you heat them up. But I can kind of show you guys what they look like. This is what they look like, about like this big. And then when you look inside, there's the curry inside. So pretty common kind of thing to have for foods, for breads. And definitely, you know, a neat thing about living here, I think. You know, I miss it a lot when I leave because the food here is so good, the bread here is so good. And if you find like a local place that's really delicious, we have a place here that's local that is so good, and they make just amazing breads. So, you know, you try to kind of become a fan of a local area one and try to show up just after they get them out of the oven, fresh out of the oven. Definitely can be a super delicious thing to enjoy. So I think it's nice because it's all kind of more made fresh sort of feeling to it. I don't get the feeling that things are made very fresh in the States. Even when they're made in the grocery store at the bakery there, you kind of feel like, yeah, this isn't really that cool. But there are obviously delicious places to eat bread in the States, but I think it's probably like if you find like a really favorite kind of bakery in the States that's a little removed from the usual places. Those are always really the best. So I'd love to hear if you guys have any news about what favorite kind of bread you might have in your country. I think my favorites here are probably anything with cheese is usually really good, and I am a big fan of one that has gobo on it, and I have to figure out what gobo is in English, but yeah, they kind of make like a little salad mix of gobo and mayonnaise and put that on top. It's so good. So